Marissa Evans' normal life wasn't found in a house, but in a frayed blue tent tucked behind a downtown overpass. Her world was a shopping cart of memories and a small, hopeful boy named Isaiah. Before the eviction, before the spiral, she'd been a nursing aide. Their morning ritual was a quiet walk to the commercial strip, where the scent of fresh coffee and baked goods from Artisan Rise filled the air, a cruel reminder of a stability just out of reach. Isaiah would press his nose against the cool glass, not asking, just dreaming. Marissa's pride was a fortress, but it was crumbling under her son's hunger. That morning, the gnawing in his stomach was louder than her dignity. Across the street, in a penthouse office with floor-to-ceiling windows, billionaire real estate developer Alistair Vance was finalizing plans to acquire the entire block. His vision was sleek condos and high-end retail, a revitalization. His gaze, sharp and analytical, swept the streets below, assessing property lines and future profits. He saw numbers, potential, and obstacles to be cleared. He didn't see people, not until a movement caught his eye, a woman, shoulders hunched against the cold, steering a little boy away from a bakery's gleaming window. Something in her weary resolve made him pause his calculations. A minor distraction, he thought. But fate had just placed two lives on a collision course with a simple, desperate question, about to ignite a chain reaction no one could predict. The bell above the bakery door chimed with a cheerful, hollow sound. Inside, warmth and the rich scent of butter enveloped Marissa, a stark contrast to the chill clinging to her clothes. Behind the pristine counter, a young woman with a perfect ponytail smiled, until her eyes traveled from Marissa's face to her worn jacket and settled there. The smile didn't vanish, it just cooled, stiffening into something formal and distant. "Can I help you?" The clerk's voice was polite, but her gaze was already flicking toward the manager's office. Marissa's voice was barely a whisper, eroded by shame. I was wondering, do you have any pastries that are expired? For my son. He's just outside." She gestured weakly toward the window where Isaiah stood, trying to be invisible. A moment of heavy silence. Then a sigh, not of pity, but of inconvenience. "We don't give out food. It's a liability issue." The clerk recited the policy, her tone final. Marissa's heart sank, but she didn't move. The sight of Isaiah's hopeful face through the glass anchored her feet to the floor. "Please," Marissa breathed, the words scraping her throat. "He hasn't eaten since yesterday. Anything, just one thing that you're throwing away." This time, the manager emerged, a man with a tight expression. He didn't address her. He spoke to the clerk, loud enough for the few other customers to hear. "We can't encourage loitering. It's bad for business." The word loitering hung in the air, toxic and deliberate. Marissa wasn't a mother asking for help. She was a problem to be managed. Across the street, Alistair Vance watched the entire scene unfold like a silent film. He saw the clerk's cold shift, the manager's dismissive posture, the way Marissa seemed to shrink into herself. He saw Isaiah, watching his mother, confusion replacing hope on his small face. A familiar, calculated part of Alistair's brain noted the business logic, protect the brand, avoid scene. But another part, long buried under spreadsheets and acquisitions, stirred uncomfortably. In the bakery, the manager's patience snapped. "Ma'am, you need to leave or I will call security." His hand hovered near the phone. Tears of sheer humiliation burned behind Marissa's eyes. She turned, the world blurring, and pushed the door open. The cold air hit her like a slap. She knelt in front of Isaiah, her back to the bakery window, her body trembling with a storm of hunger, failure, and rage. She had nothing to give him but empty hands. Inside his glass tower, Alistair Vance's fingers tightened around his pen. He watched the defeated slump of Marissa's shoulders, the protective way she shielded her son. He saw the manager watching them from the window, arms crossed, satisfied the issue was removed. The clean, logical lines of Alistair's world suddenly seemed grotesquely out of focus. A silent injustice had just been executed with bureaucratic efficiency right under his nose. And in that moment, a dam of calculated indifference began to crack. He put down the pen, he stood up, his eyes fixed on the mother and child on the cold sidewalk, narrowed with a new, uncalculated resolve. The millionaire had seen it all, and now he was going to do something about it. The bakery door chimed again, but this time with force. Alistair Vance didn't enter, he occupied the space. The crisp air from outside swirled in with him, carrying a different kind of chill. The manager's practiced smile returned, transforming into recognition, then sycophantic warmth. "Mr. Vance, what an honor! How can we—" Alistair ignored him. His gaze swept past the gleaming counters and landed squarely on Marissa, still crouched on the sidewalk, her arms around Isaiah. He pointed through the glass, his voice low and razor-sharp. "That woman, what did she ask for?" The manager faltered. "Oh, that. Just a nuisance, sir, asking for free food. We have a policy." Her exact request. "She wanted expired pastries for the boy." Alistair's expression didn't change, but a storm gathered behind his eyes. He turned slowly to face the manager. "You have a surplus, you write it off daily, and you denied a child food." The manager's face paled. "It's not that simple. Liability, encouraging—" "What's your name?" Alistair's tone was deceptively calm. Michael, sir." Alistair pulled out his phone, his movements deliberate. He didn't call, he began recording, lifting it to capture Michael's panicked face, the pristine shop, and the blurred image of Marissa outside. "Repeat your company's policy on food waste and requests for assistance, Michael, for the record." The clerk gasped. Michael stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing. The power dynamic had not just shifted, it had inverted. The hunter was now exposed. Alistair lowered the phone, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper the microphone still caught. "You just denied a hungry child discarded food to protect your atmosphere. You saw a homeless black woman and saw a liability. I see a crime against basic decency." He turned toward the door, his final words hanging in the stunned silence. "Your store is closed, effective now. Let's go see what a real solution looks like." Alistair Vance didn't just buy Marissa and Isaiah a meal. He walked them to a diner, sat with them, and listened. That morning, he used his influence not for a deal, but for a directive. By noon, the bakery's parent company had issued a public apology and launched a citywide program donating all unsold food to shelters. Michael, the manager, was dismissed. The story, recorded on a billionaire's phone, went viral, not as a scandal, but as a stark lesson in unseen injustice. For Marissa, the resolution was more profound than momentary help. Alistair connected her with a nonprofit that provided transitional housing and job retraining. A month later, she was back in Scrubs, her smile returning not as a patient's comfort, but as her own reclaimed dignity. Isaiah got a backpack full of books, and for the first time in a year, his own bed. But this story isn't about a billionaire's rescue. It's about the quiet, devastating violence of a policy wielded without compassion. It's about how poverty is criminalized and how racism often wears the polite mask of procedure. The manager didn't shout slurs. He hid behind a clipboard, turning hunger into a liability. Marissa's question, "Any expired pastry for my son?" echoes in 1,000 forms every day. It's the denied rental application, the overlooked job resume, the followed shopper, the silenced complaint. Injustice doesn't always scream. Sometimes it's a quiet no where a simple yes was possible. So we're left with a mirror. When you witness a moment of quiet exclusion, the ignored request, the casual prejudice, the systemic no, what do you do? Do you look away, or do you truly see? The millionaire saw it. The question is, will you?